I absolutely adore a lightweight race bike, and today we have one of the best in the world. This is a hill climb machine that has been stripped of its heavy paint and then rebuilt with some of the best components available. It's also piloted by a man with some wondrous watts, the current and multiple time national men's hill climb champion, Mr. Andrew Feather. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us in some fantastic British weather. I want to start with the frame and the paint. You took this down to Carbon Bike Repair. What did they actually do for you?
Yeah, so I took it down to Carbon Bike Repair in Leatherhead. So they completely stripped all of the old factory paint off the bike, and then they extracted all surplus carbon from the frame as well. So,
so they've removed carbon as well, not just paint?
No, yeah, so it's carbon as well. So they analysed the bike on the computer with the thickness of the frame, and they kind of were able to use their computer to extract this excess carbon. I think it was pretty impressive. Yeah.
Were Cannondale happy with it? Or did we just not ask them?
No, we just didn't ask them. No.
Modern carbon bikes, you do get some tube thicknesses that are down within a few millimeters, even thinner. So their robot takes things down to within accuracy of 0.03 millimeters. I think I've got that right. So that accuracy is obviously super important when you're taking either paint off or damaged carbon, or in your case here, excess carbon.
Exactly, yeah, and I think they kind of use their computer modelling to work out where obviously carbon was needed on the frame, where there was this excess carbon that it could remove. But I think, you know, in places the carbon was already very, very thin anyway, so, you know, there was little they could do. But yeah, it was really, really interesting. And they've got this fantastic machine that has got this kind of pin that kind of works its way around the frame, removing the paint and removing the carbon. So I saw that in action, so it's good.
It is a super cool robot, and crucially, how much weight did you save by removing the paint and the excess carbon?
It was actually far more than I thought. So the bike went in, so the frame went in at 850 grams, and it came out at just under 650 grams. So it's incredible, you know, that's almost 25% of the weight of the frame. So, you know, with an already super light frame,
yeah.
To make it, you know, to get that weight saving was incredible, really.
So with those figures, this must be, I would say, one of the lightest Super 6 Evo frame sets in the world.
I would have thought so, yeah. I mean, it's a properly tuned hill climb bike now, so yeah, the ultimate hill climb bike.
We will be weighing this bike in just a minute, but first I want to go through the build, because you were telling me that this is basically a parts bin build, and this is one of the best parts bin builds I've ever seen. Let's start with the Groupset. What have you got here?
So the Groupset is an 11-speed Shimano Dura Ace Di2, and yeah, very, very lightweight. It's got a single ring setup on the front, so I think we've got a 39 ordinary tooth chain ring with a 2811 rear sprocket. So
that's not a one by specific profile to the chainring teeth. That's just normal.
It's just a normal chainring.
Speaking of not disc, I think these aren't suffering for it being a wet day. You know, these brakes are really popping in the light. What are they?
So the brakes are Cane Creek EE brakes, and they're ridiculously light. I think they're half the weight of the standard Dura Ace calipers, and they've got some crazy colours to them.
So with your Groupset at the front, you've got a rotor power meter with the carbon cranks, yeah?
Yeah, it's a rotor power meter, so I run all the bikes with a rotor power meter just to get that power consistency. Yeah, really lightweight, sits nicely in the crank, so yeah, yeah, it works really well.
And just interestingly, we've seen a lot of the pro riders going down to 165mm cranks. I've certainly been trying that out. And I do find that you maybe lose a little bit on steeper climbs. These look quite long cranks to me.
Yep, they're 172.5, so I've always ridden them. And again, just it's something I'm used to. So yeah, it's not something I've ever experimented with or changed. So yeah, I'm just sticking with what I know, I suppose.
Fair enough. And then I guess you don't need to really get aero when you're going uphill.
No, it's, you know, obviously this bike compared to the Lab 71 is not as aero. This is, you know, I think this is focusing on lightweight over aero, but it still goes pretty well uphill. It was very, very light and responsive when I test rode it yesterday. So you can feel every single bump in the frame. Obviously all the components I've got with the bike are so lightweight and so tuned really that it's yeah, it's not the most comfortable ride, put it that way.
Finishing off the group set, just up at the front, you've got the second generation Di2 Junction A box just under the stem there. Yep. It's quite a nice little mount that you've got there. Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, it just fits nicely under the stem, nice and hidden away. Obviously with the new stuff, it's all hidden away in the frame. But yeah, I think it's pretty subtle, works nicely, does its job really.
Speaking of the stem, you've got a very nice carbon number just up there.
Yeah, so this stem is an MCFK stem alongside the seat post. Very, very lightweight. Works really well with the Schmalke stuff as well. And it's also a really nice part of these bikes in that with the older bikes such as this Supersix Evo, you've got the ability to change the stem, change the handlebars, change the seat post, whereas with perhaps more modern disc brake bikes, a lot of it is integrated and there's limited choice in what you can choose. That's certainly something that I like, really, just being able to choose your own handlebars, choose your own seat post, really. So
you haven't gone to the extent of removing the internal bung though from the steerer tube.
No, that's still on there. I just on a wet day like today, I sort of keep it dry. Yeah.
Up at the front end, we've got another real nice touch in that computer mount looks custom made for this setup. Yeah,
it's a nice custom made. I'm not sure who it's made by, but yeah, it's pretty good. It sits nicely with the carbon bars and stems, so yeah, it's pretty good.
Really showing the parts being built there. You've forgotten what the actual stem mount is. Finishing out, like rounding out the cockpit, I would say, is this Schmalke carbon saddle, which, you know, to look at, you would never say that they're comfortable, but you've always said that you really like using these saddles.
I really like them, yeah, and this is one of their shorter versions of the saddle. I find using the shorter version, you're able to get, you know, you're able to sit in that forward position and really get the power over the cranks. But yeah, I think you get used to it. You know, they are hard, and you do feel the bumps with them, but you get used to it. You've got padded shorts. You know, don't need to complain. So
I've seen you climb. You're never actually sat on the thing.
That's true.
And then finishing off the bike, a set of Hunt wheels. And obviously these are some pretty lightweight numbers.
Yeah, they're, I think, coming in at around 950 grams. Very, very lightweight, but also on a par with their new disc specific hill climb wheels. So I think the two sets of wheels are pretty much identical weight, which is pretty impressive because obviously these are rim brake, whereas the new version of the wheels are now disc brakes. So yeah, they're great. They're both very, very lightweight sets of wheels. Both great for hill climbing, which is what I do. So yeah, it works well.
A classic tubular design as well. What are the tyres on here? These, I'm figuring that these are not available to buy anywhere.
No, I don't think I mean, you can't buy these anywhere now, and even you can't find second-hand versions of the tyres. They're the old Vittoria Chrono CS tyres. They're kind of almost like a track-specific tyre. But I don't know if the viewer has seen, but this one has actually got a puncture, so they're definitely on their last legs now. Oh, no. The valve has gone on the tube, but yeah, they were fantastic for the hill climbs. Very, very lightweight.
So you might be looking to replace these for this season?
Yeah, no, they'll definitely need to be replaced, unless I'll be riding on the rims of the wheels.
If you want Andrew Feather's old tyres, let us know in the comments. Right, Andrew, I've put my brolly down, I've got the scales. What do you think this is going to come out as?
I reckon it's going to come out pretty much bang on 5.
Let's check. I just kind of hope it doesn't blow away in the wind. I was going to say, you can do the reading.
5.80, there we go. That's pretty good, isn't it?
I'll bring it to show the camera. It's not really challenging lifting this up, it's quite easy. Tell you what, I was weighing some gravel bikes a few weeks ago in Girona. That was a nightmare. My shoulders barely coped. But what do you reckon to that weight?
I think that weight is amazing, because if you took the power meter off, it would go down to around 4.8, 4.9. So yeah, a sub 5 kilo bike. You are such a hill climber, going like, oh, it's not light enough. We can take that off. We can take this off. A classic. What about the Lab 71? Because we came here, well, we came down to your house before the hill climb season last year, and you were on the disc brake bike. Yep.
That was coming in at 5.66.
Yep.
That is quite a saving still over disc brakes.
It is. I mean, I suppose, this is, you know, the ultimate hill climb bike in terms of weight. It's not quite as stiff as the Lab 71, so I think in the hill climbs, yeah, obviously weight is a key factor, but it's also, you know, having a really, really stiff bike, and the Lab 71 is probably slightly stiffer than this. It's got both of them got such a different feel when you ride it. So for example, this one, you really do feel every single bump in the road. It feels so nimble and almost very twitchy, just because of all the sort of high-end components. Whereas the Lab 71, it rides amazing up the hill, especially with the hill climb wheels and things, but it feels more solid. It just feels, both bikes feel so different to ride. This feels like, almost like it's going to break sometimes when you ride it, because it is so light and it's so sort of tuned in a way, whereas the other one feels just solid. Solid and light at the same time. Not quite as light as that though. Well, maybe we could help Andrew out deciding which one he likes best. Which one you guys like best at home? Is it this rim brake, lovely Supersix Evo, the classic connoisseur's choice, or the new Aero Lab 71 bike? We'll put a vote over on our community page. So yeah, let us know. Andrew, thank you so much for letting us come and film your bike. Thank you very much for standing around in the rain. And if you'd just like to face that way, I'm just gonna nick this for a bit, okay? Okay.
Cheers,
no problem.
mate.
Thanks, cheers.